Hello, I'm Jantien Powell. This is Chapel Cottage Studio, and I'm going to show you today how to make some vibrant, exciting backgrounds for your paintings. So we're going to start with our scary white canvas, which we want to cover quite soon. I'm going to begin by just drawing out a simple picture. And the picture that I'm wanting for this is a very, very simple townscape. We're not going to worry about perspective or anything like that. I want the frontage of some houses. Very, very simple. A roof, a front. Let's put a lower house here. Let's give him a bit of a saggy roof, make it look characterful. And you can see that I'm drawing them quite hard as well with the pencil. And this is because they're going to need to show through the lovely background we're going to put on. There's my row of houses, nice variety of shapes. Gonna put some windows in. Really, really simple. Some more by there. Oh, a doorway under here. And this one is going to be a shop, so we're gonna put a shop front. Really simple. This one's a little house. Residential, I think. Some windows. I never draw the bottoms of the windows. I sort of think that they're nicer without. Another little house by here. Let's put in the windows. Let's have a different doorway this time. Be careful that all your doorways are roughly the same height, because all the people are roughly the same height. A couple of windows, maybe another shop front here. A couple of chimneys. There's our drawing done. I've drawn it quite hard so it will show through later. Next stage, we're going to do some collage on this to start getting some texture in our picture. I'm using some PVA glue, which I've watered down just slightly, about 75% glue, 25 water. I'm gonna very carefully put that on there. Use a big wide paintbrush to spread it out. There we are, cover it all over. Try not to leave any dry bits. Always worth checking. Hold it up to the light. Make sure there are no dry bits on it. I'm going to put the brush straight in the water. Now I'm going to get my collage materials. And I've got some tissue paper, which you can buy from any stationers or from any art shop. I've got some white, some pink, some yellow. I've got some brown paper, and I've got a bit of old magazine. I'm going to crumple these tissue papers up to start, really tight. Then I'm going to open them up again. And when I open them up, I'm going to carefully try to flatten them as much as I possibly can. Because although we want all those little wrinkles, we don't want them too big. We don't want great big folds and creases in our picture because it's not a good look. Now I'm going to start to rip pieces off. The straight edges, I'm going to align on the straight edge of the canvas. I'm going to start to stick down my bits of tissue. And you can see that I'm sticking them down. They look just about flat. But we want them to do that. We want a very small amount of texture on it. Let's do the same with the yellow. So I'm gonna squish it all up really tight. Spread it out again, as flat as you can. So we don't get too big creases. Whoops. Then I'm gonna start to rip off pieces. There we are. That's quite a nice shape. I'll use him for the other side of the sky. Wherever they overlap, really important that you put a new bit of glue down there. This is what my pinafores for. Cleaning my brushes. There we are, and I've just made sure everything's good and flat. The same with the pink tissue. Let's just take a piece, we don't need all that. Rip it up, squish it up, unfold it again as flat as we can, and let's stick it on. Well, I've got a straight edge on that, so that's going to go on the side of the canvas. And you can use your big brush to help to stick it down a bit, but do it very carefully. This tissue is quite frail now, quite fragile. And I'm going to carry on and fill up my picture with tissue. Now, we can also collage. Let's put those to one side. We can also collage with some newsprint. And we can collage with some brown paper or anything else you fancy. I'm going to use a bit of brown paper. Just going to glue the back. Spread it out with my big paintbrush. There we are. And I'm going to put this. Oh, I don't want to put it directly on top of a house. I'm going to put it at an angle. Because what we don't want is to fill in the shapes nicely with collage. We want it to be random. Then I'm going to take a piece of newsprint, which will give me a different dimension to the picture. Oh, there's a nice piece. I don't really want any colour on it. There we are. Just some print. And you can, of course, make your newsprint really relevant to your picture, which is rather nice. I've done a lot of pictures like this that were about the cattle market. So all my collage were sale reports from the cattle market. I'm going to put that bit over there. And that's my first stage done. So my picture is drawn and it's collaged with pieces of tissue paper with a bit of newsprint and a bit of brown paper to get some different textures in the finished painting. Important point is to use pale colours in your tissue paper because we're going to run colours over the top of this. And if you begin with dark colours, then you won't be able to lighten them. But if you begin with pale colours, you can always darken them where we want. So that's the first stage. Now, the next stage is going to be really nice and messy. I like messy. So I'm going to put some kitchen roll down on my working table just to pick up all the drips that we're going to make. I do like art to be messy. I'm going to be using some acrylic inks. I like Liquitex, they're a really nice ink. And I use the Liquitex Prussian Blue. I'm going to use the Liquitex Yellow Orange Azo, which is a beautiful golden colour. And my other favourite ink is by a make called Sennelier, and it's called Purple. It's actually pink, but it's called Purple. Beautiful, beautiful inks. Now, first things first, I'm going to wet the canvas again. I've left it to dry overnight so that it's really dry. But now we have to wet it again. But you really need to let the glue dry in the beginning because otherwise your tissue paper is still too fragile. So now I'm using a nice big mop brush to get plenty of water on it. And I'm soaking the whole thing again. And you'll see in a moment why we need to have it so wet. So be very, very generous with the water. Now, onto this wet canvas. I'm going to put my inks straight from the bottle using the pipette that's in the bottle. I'm going to tip my canvas slightly. I'm going to start with some yellow ink up there. Put a little bit more of it over here somewhere. Always put the lid on when you're not using the ink because I've spilt so many inks all over the table from not putting the lids on. I'm going to do a little bit of this beautiful Sennelier purple. And once they're on there, I'm going to use my mop brush and water to just encourage them to flow a little bit. I don't want to brush the canvas, I'm just patting it to allow the inks to flow. And you can see what the tissue paper does to the inks, and it's just magical. I absolutely love it. I'm going to turn it up the other way, do some different colours at the bottom. Now I want the bottom of my picture to be darker than the top. So I'm using my Liquitex Prussian Blue and I'm going to put this across the bottom corner. That's a really dark colour. I'm going to put some in the other corner to balance. Big corner, little corner. Let's get the balance right. And a little bit more of this Sennelier purple. Down here, here. There we are, I think that'll do. Now, this is the tricky bit, because you have to keep your eye on all of it. I want it to run up the canvas. I want it to make beautiful patterns, but I don't want it to go too far. I don't want it to go into my light sky. So this is a little bit like those games you used to be able to get when you were a kid, when you were trying to get all the balls in the holes and make sure all the other balls hadn't come out of the holes. So you've really got to keep your eye, on one side whilst you work on another side. So I'm watching that green doesn't go too far up into the sky, and if it does, I can turn it up and let it run back down out to the sky. I really like that already. I'm going to put a little bit more dark in the center, and I think I'm going to be happy with it then. I'm going to add a little bit of blue in the center, bit of water to allow it to run around. Yep, I love this section of light here with a nice dark corner to anchor my picture, another dark corner there, and a bit of color across the center. And that's our beautiful background for our townscape. How to put color into your towns. Thank you.